how does the U.S. unequivocal support for Israel affect its credibility and influence in the broader Middle East?
Well, before I answer your question, Mona, I want to comment on what Ms. Chapman said. And I don't think we are in disagreement because I said Trump is giving in to Russia's demands. She said if he isn't, and what she described now is just exactly that, Trump giving in to Russia's demands. And I do not necessarily disagree with that. What you just said, that Trump is throwing Ukraine and Europe under the bus, under the Russian bus, a Russian T-72, actually, not a bus. And I don't mind that. It's music to my ears as an observer and as someone who is very interested in the multipolar world and someone who is supportive of entities such as the BRICS nation that Trump has threatened with 100% tariffs. I don't mind that. I don't mind the United States basically deconstructing the entire security structure of Europe and the Western world. I don't mind that. It's in our interest as the global South. But let's call a spade a spade. When Trump gives in to Russia's demands, this is what he's exactly doing. Russia is not giving a single concession on that account, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. But I don't think you mind that either. Maybe that's in the vested interest of the United States, or your definition, or many Americans' definition, or Donald Trump's definition of the U.S. national interest. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. We are in agreement, Mrs. Chapman. We do not necessarily disagree on that. We just disagree on the naming, on the terming of what things are. And pertaining to your question regarding the Middle East and how Trump is doing it, of course, what Trump is doing in Ukraine and Europe cannot be done in the Middle East because it's very different in the Middle East. What's happening could cause a huge crisis. The way Trump has been treating U.S. allies in the Middle East, namely Egypt and Jordan, is unacceptable. Him trying to impose such a fantasy, Alice in Wonderland type of solution on the people in the Middle East and on the Palestinians is unacceptable. Ethnic cleansing is not an option. And if he is interested in actually pushing for an end to the sustainable peace in the Middle East, and by peace I mean the very deep-rooted, long-lasting peace process between Egypt and Israel, for example, then he can push for the displacement scheme, for example. I think now that there is an agreement has been made. Mrs. Chapman made a very good comment saying that now the Arabs and Egypt are proposing something. They were actually proposing something way before these empty threats, yes, by the way. And the Egyptian plan was there before, way before. And it was discussed with the Biden administration way before the Trump administration was even in the picture. So no, it did not prompt anyone. However, Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, saying that now the U.S. administration is ready to listen is something good.
Briefly, Mr. Osman. Briefly, because we're running out of time.
Yes, but no, just to conclude, it is something positive. I think that what the U.S. administration is proposing right now, what Rubio has said, that he will listen to the Arab initiatives and that they have an open mind, that's a good sign. There are alternatives. Let's talk. We are partners with the United States. We have a very good relationship. And the Trump administration and the administration, for example, of the Egyptian government of President Sisi during the Trump's previous term had a very cordial relationship. Let's resume that.
Yes.
Let's not ruin that.